What up, everyone? What's going on? I got your daily reflections for May 16th, the year 2022. This one is titled, We Forgive. This is all based off of step 5 of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Often it was while working on this step with our sponsors or spiritual advisors that we first felt truly able to forgive others. No matter how deeply we felt they had wronged us, our moral inventory had persuaded us that all-around forgiveness was desirable, but it was only when we resolutely tackled step 5 that we inwardly knew we'd be able to receive forgiveness and give it too. What a great feeling forgiveness is. What a revelation about my emotional, psychological, and spiritual nature. All it takes is a willingness to forgive. God will do the rest. This is a great step. Forgiveness is such a big thing, and that's what a lot of us can struggle with because we can't forgive ourselves and we don't forgive others. And this is, like I always say, where we build our resentments. And you know, what exactly is it about forgiveness that really messes us up? I'm going to get going. I got some stuff to do, so I'll share some more insight with you when I'm out on my feet. Did you guys know that lots of times after we make really bad mistakes and we're living in shame, which shame derives itself from guilt, it is actually just our ego staying attached to an identity that is not actually us. It's these dysfunctional things that we have done in our subconscious states that put us in these moments of life where it's just very painful and we just stay in that, and our ego is what is staying in that, and we're reoccurring that situation, that fight, that mistake. And the ego doesn't care because the ego just has to have something to attach itself to. It has to have an identity, because if we do not have an identity, we cease to exist, and that's just not the way the mind works. So the ego doesn't care whether it's stuck in a state of bliss and happiness and acceptance or in shame and guilt and fear. So what we need to do is get to that point of recognizing who we truly are and become conscious. Like Eckhart Tolle was saying in a video I was just watching, we have to be aware that a lot of these dysfunctional things that we have done and pain we've caused ourselves and pain we've caused to others essentially is our subconscious mind, because we're not quite aware of who we really are. So even just seeing this video, hearing this right now, you're more conscious than you were before, and you don't have to live in that. Cling to something positive. Stop clinging to that past and that pain and shame, guilt and regret. And that's when you can begin to grow. That's when you can begin to forgive yourself. And more importantly, forgive others. Well, more importantly, you do need to forgive yourself, because we just play out the same scenario over and over. And a lot of us can live in that for years. And a lot of that can lead you to self-medicating, depression. And this forgiveness thing is just so important. All of this stuff is so interesting to me, and this is the stuff that helps us heal. These are the things we need to be looking into, more than just going to an AA meeting. We've got to look deeper than that. And yes, AA does work, and it helps keep people sober. But don't you want to actually get to the root of the problems, get to why we're doing that stuff? I mean, think about this. Have you ever heard people say, like, don't use the word I with stuff? when you're saying things like, I am happy, I own this. I is really the ego's attempt at identifying itself with a certain state of mind, because again, it needs something to anchor itself to, or it ceases to exist, and the mind can't work that way. It doesn't care if it's a bad state of mind, a bad identity, or a good identity. So we have to sit and reflect on these things and see who the real I is. Who is the real I? And the real I is that person you were when you were born. It is that child, that innocence. So forgive yourself when we make these mistakes. When you make these mistakes, don't say, I am that person. Don't keep reliving that moment. And another person I saw says, you can replay that moment in your mind, and this will help your healing, because your brain doesn't care if something's real or if it's not. It will still accept it. So when we're living in this depression, that's our brain accepting that over and over, and it doesn't know. So we're reliving that mistake. So one helpful thing, I can't remember her name, she was saying, replay that moment that you made that mistake, that you hurt someone, that you made a subconscious choice that was dysfunctional to who your identity really is. And replay that and act it out different this time. Act it out different. You now know what you should have done, and this does not change what happened in the real world, but it will help you heal. It will help you heal. Most of the time, we're sitting there suffering over things that another person's already been done with and has healed from, yet we're still living in it. So forgiveness is key, and that's what this whole month's step is about, is that forgiveness. I love you guys, and trust me, I know exactly what it is to not forgive yourself. You're all amazing human beings, and we can become more conscious, and we can make the right choices, and we could see who we truly are. I love you, and remember, one day at a time, you're doing this. See ya.